Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to dive right into the brutal truth about time management. Look, today we're going to completely shatter a very specific, incredibly common illusion that I know you and I both suffer from. It's that nagging, persistent belief that if we just had, a few extra hours in the day, everything would just magically fall into place. Well, I'm going to share a profoundly embarrassing personal realization with you today that totally flipped how I operate. And honestly, by the end of this explainer, I guarantee you're going to look at your daily schedule in a completely different way.
So, have you ever caught yourself saying something exactly like this? I just don't have time, man. I'm swamped. I'm drowning. We all do it, right? We wear our busyness like it's some sort of badge of honor. And it feels so universally true, doesn't it? Validating this feeling of being totally overwhelmed is just so easy because, let's face it, the modern world is insanely demanding. But there I was one day complaining to a friend about how incredibly busy I was, genuinely feeling like I was barely keeping my head above water. I was entirely convinced my problem was just purely mathematical. I just didn't have enough hours.
In fact, I literally told my friend I needed 30-hour days. 30 hours. That was my initial delusion. I genuinely believed that a magical 30-hour day was the absolute only solution to finally getting my life together. I figured if I just had that massive buffer, then I could finally work on my real projects, then I could catch up. But my friend, who is frankly way too smart for his own good, completely interrupted my whole rant. He didn't offer me any sympathy. Instead, he just looks at me and asks this incredibly simple, yet incredibly dangerous question. How many hours did you spend on your phone yesterday? I kind of laughed it off. I guessed, I don't know, maybe like an hour or so. So he pulls out his phone, shows me his screen time app, and goes, check yours. And this, right here, is the exact moment my reality completely fractured. 5 hours. I want you to really think about that massive number. I spent 5 hours on my phone the previous day. 5 hours of just mindless scrolling, watching random videos, reading stuff I literally forgot the second I swiped away, and playing games I don't even actually like. I just sat there, staring at the app, absolutely horrified at my own spectacular ability to waste oxygen. I felt like I had just been caught red-handed. And you know what the absolute worst part was? I was caught stealing from myself. That was the huge epiphany for me. I was literally robbing myself of my own precious time, taking hours away from my goals, my projects, my rest, and then having the absolute audacity to sit there and complain to a friend that I didn't have enough of it. Now, here is the core mindset shift that really changed everything for me. I realized in that exact moment, I didn't actually have a time problem. I had a priority problem, heavily disguised as a time problem. Because here's the brutal truth. You have the exact same hours in a day as everyone else who is highly successful. They are not getting bonus time. There is no secret 25th hour that billionaires get to unlock. They just don't hide their bad priorities behind a fake time problem. They just have a completely different mindset about what time actually is. So, the absolutely crucial first step is figuring out where the leaks are. After that humbling conversation, I decided to run a little trial phase. For one full week, I tracked everything, and I mean everything. I tracked every waking second to find out where the hours were actually going. Eating, working, scrolling on my phone, watching TV, talking to people, heck, even just staring at the ceiling wondering why my life felt like such a mess. I audited the whole shebang. And at the end of the week, I looked at this list and I genuinely wanted to cry. I had spent literal hours on stuff that didn't matter at all, stuff I wouldn't even remember a week later. And that brings us to an even more horrifying specific metric. 7. That is 7 hours a week. That is almost an entire full standard workday lost entirely to just waking up and lying in bed scrolling through my phone every single morning. Not even doing anything, just existing and swiping. That's a massive chunk of my life just vaporized into thin air. And it wasn't just the obvious time wasters like lying in bed. I also uncovered something much more insidious. I found hours where I was supposedly too busy, but I was actually just engaging in procrastination with extra steps. You know exactly what I mean here. Thinking to yourself, oh, I need to check my email first, or let me just organize my desk real quick, or I should probably plan this out more before I start. These are seemingly productive tasks that were instantly exposed as just fancy, socially acceptable ways to avoid doing the actual hard work. So this led me to a major decision. And I really want to lean heavily into this analogy because it is so incredibly powerful. Think about lending money versus lending time. If someone asked to borrow money from you, you'd interrogate them, right? You'd ask what it's for, you'd think deeply about it, you'd decide if it's actually a solid investment. But with our time, we hand it out completely blindly. A TV show that's just kind of okay, sure, take 3 hours of my night. A social media app explicitly designed by psychologists to be addictive, here, take my entire evening. We guard our wallets like Fort Knox, but we leave the vault to our time completely wide open.
Which brings us to arguably the most important question you can possibly ask yourself. I started treating every single request for my time exactly like a request for my money, asking one brutal question for everything. Is this worth my life? Because that is exactly what time is. It is your life. When you spend an hour on something, you weren't just spending time. You are spending a piece of your life, a piece of your very existence that you can literally never, ever get back. So is scrolling worth an hour of your life? Is a mediocre TV show worth 3 hours of your existence?
Once you start asking that, you realize most of us view time completely backwards. We think about time like it's this thing that just happens to us, kind of like the weather, something entirely outside our control. But that's garbage. The real paradigm shift is this. Time isn't something you have, it's something you make. You don't find time, you create time by actively choosing what not to do.
So, equipped with this whole new protective mindset, I sat down and made a list of my real goals, the projects, the relationships, the experiences I actually wanted and knew I'd regret not doing. Then I looked at my schedule and asked, okay, where is this stuff on my calendar? And the frustrating answer was nowhere. My calendar was just jam-packed full of random obligations and time wasters. The important stuff is supposed to magically happen when I had time, which, as we just established, means never. So I had to completely flip the script. Here is the clear 3-step action plan I used, and you can use this too. First, identify your actual goals. Second, schedule them first. I started putting my personal projects on my calendar like they were unmissable corporate meetings with a CEO. And third, fit everything else around them. If a random request or distraction didn't fit around my actual priorities, well, it simply didn't happen. People thought I was being crazy and rigid, but you know what's truly crazy? Hoping time will magically appear out of thin air while you fill your entire day with everyone else's priorities. The results were honestly staggering. Just 1 month later, I finally finished a project I'd been dragging out for months. I started working out consistently. I actually learned a skill I'd been saying I'd learn someday. And honestly, the absolute craziest part of all of this, I had more free time than before. I wasn't busier, I wasn't working harder, I just cut out all the absolute garbage that was filling my day. I stopped giving my hours away to things that didn't deserve them. So, I am directly challenging you today. Run this exact same experiment. I call it the 1 week challenge. Track your time for just 1 week. But you have to be brutally honest with yourself. Write down your exact hours and what you were doing with them. You need to see the truth, because once you see exactly where your time is going, you cannot unsee it. It will completely shatter your illusions, and you'll just naturally start protecting your time and creating the life you actually want to live. And hey, if you want a structured way to actually implement this, the source material for today's explainer actually provides a fantastic tool. They've linked a productivity planner in their description that is specifically designed to help cement this whole new prioritization system. It helps you track where your time goes, prioritize what actually matters, and take back control of your schedule instead of just spinning your wheels, keeping yourself busy. Ultimately, this is the big thing you need to take away from this explainer. You don't need more time. You already possess enough time. You have the exact right amount of hours in the day to do absolutely incredible things. You simply need the courage and the self-awareness to stop giving those precious hours away to things that absolutely do not matter. Your time is your life. Spend it like it matters, because for sure it does. I'll leave you with this final provocative question. What is your biggest time waster? Really look at your life. Look at your daily habits and ask yourself, what is stealing your life right now? Identify it, cut it out this week, and reclaim your hours. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Start treating your time like the invaluable resource it actually is, and I will see you in the next one.